And welcome to another show of Don't Get This Twisted. I am Rob, along with my co-host, as always, Tina. How you doing, Tina?
I am tired today, Rob, but I am here.
And I can hear you well.
Good. I'm glad you can. Yeah, I was worried about that because, I had to reset up everything. House sitting again, had to reset up everything, and I wanted to make sure that you were hearing me clearly.
You are groovy.
Good.
Yes, since you were out and about, and I've been kind of, in the clouds, we really didn't know what to talk about today. So I threw you a message earlier in the day, and you're like, "Hey, let's talk about this." And I was like, "Cool. I'll just jump on whatever you say." So yeah, start talking.
So I thought that today would be a good day to talk about people that gossip and things that get said and how things get misconstrued and how saying one thing, you could say it one way, but the way it comes back to you is completely different, almost like playing the game telephone where you say something and then the next one and then the next one. And then by the time it gets back, it's not even the same story.
Sure.
And I know in my life, I've been the subject of so much gossip. It's kind of fun to hear what comes back, because I guess I set myself up because I'm kind of an open book and I tell way too much to people. Mm-hmm. And then when it comes back around, I'm like, that's not even what I said, nor do I. And I'm like, I don't think that way because I'm not one that remembers verbatim what I said at every stage of the game. I don't even remember what we talk about on the podcast. I give you my honest whatever. And then I move along. I don't worry about it. I don't need to check myself. I don't need to keep my facts straight because I'm giving you the honest me right now. So I was in a situation where I was talking to a friend and I was giving her my honest opinions and stuff, but then she went back to her partner and the way it came back to me was that I was against him and that everything was all, just fucked up. And I was like, wait a minute, I know that's not how I feel. So that's not what I would have said. Mm-hmm. So I kind of have gotten stuck in this gossip thing a couple of times. And I think the reason that I do is because I say stuff that is very honest and truthful. And, I don't pull any punches, but I guess it could create kind of some inner drama with people, especially who don't want to hear the truth or don't know how to take in the information, keep it to themselves, remember what was said and act accordingly. So it's been interesting because over the years, I could honestly say that I have been drugged through some drama because of something that somebody else had said. And I was like, wait a minute, that's not how it was. So that's why I was thinking it was a good thing to talk about today. There's so much gossip that goes around. I mean, they have TV shows that are all about like TMZ. It's giving them a gossip. You get what's going on right now with this person and, they fart wrong. Somebody wants to talk about it. So I kind of feel like I'm in that place in my life where I'm like, well, really? You guys want to worry about this? Because was what I said, was it true? Like, let's start with that. Is it gossip or am I just stating the facts? So.
and I think that so many things that are said can be misconstrued.
Yes.
Whether live talking to someone, you're right. It can kind of go in one ear and come out a totally different story because it all matters like what you want to hear or what they want to hear. Mm-hmm. And then there's text messages, which is the most misconstrued thing on this planet. You can type something and it mean something very straightforward. Like, because when you type it and read it, you're like, man, I hope they get, this, they understand. And then they'll come back with a text like, well, what does that mean? It's It's like, oh, okay.
Or why'd you say it like that? You didn't put any emojis. God forbid you not put a fucking picture after every sentence that you say, because then it could totally go wrong on you. And I'm like, wait a minute. Did you read what I said? Read it again. Read it again without your attitude. Read it again without thinking that your best friend's wrong, all the time. Start with that. Like, give people the benefit of the doubt.
Right. And then there's like true gossip where it's just people, wanting to badmouth somebody for their own gain.
I remember in high school hearing, and you probably heard the story too, a girl was messing around with one of the athletes. She was a cheerleader, and supposedly he put a banana up inside of her. So for like the rest of school, she was a year younger than us. So I remember this being like 2 years went on, and she was known as the banana girl. Nobody knew. Nobody saw pictures. We didn't have pictures back then. Nobody knew if it was true, but she was the banana girl from that point on.
Right. Yeah.
And I always thought that was kind of mean, because even I, to this day, will think of her as the banana girl because that's what stuck in my head.
Yeah. She was labeled.
Do you remember that?
No. And once we get off here, you have to tell me who it was.
You'll have to know who it was.
Yes. So just if I knew her or not. I think a lot of that goes with, gossip tearing people down or trying to gain favor with other people. Right. So, and I've heard it a lot between family members. They're the worst at gossiping, and they'll mostly, like, I'll give you an example. A friend of mine, she has 3 kids, and they'll throw things at each other, I think, just to get reactions or to get someone riled up, or, say something to one, not knowing that the other one didn't know what was going on. And then it's a whole other, blow up. And it's funny because one of the kids just stay out of it. Like, just leave me the fuck out of that. So I think that when you see things like that, gossip can be used to just butcher someone's, I don't want to say reputation, but, really kind of go,
paint a shitty picture about a person that's not true.
And really below the belt. and even if some of it is true, it's always used as this weapon of, like, they did this, did you know that they did this? Did you know? And it's like, okay, well, yeah, maybe I did know. Well, you're not mad? No, I don't care. Like,
I kind of get it. You know what I mean? When I hear stuff like that, I'm like, well, I get why they would do it, because I always put myself in that person's place. And I'm like, that doesn't seem like a bad thing. I've done worse. So why would I judge the person that we're talking about?
Yeah. And generally the people who are judging are the holier than thou, right? Or they're judging because they have something to gain from it. Right.
Or they don't want to deal with the truth. So they want to make the other person wrong.
Oh, yeah. Yes, I've seen that part, too, where there was something very out. Well, not out in the open, but it was probably pretty known or thought that something was bad. Right. Something was going on that was bad, and they chose to ignore it for their own gain. And it's like, that's no good. And then, of course, when that goes to shit, then the gossip starts. Oh, they did this and they did this, and she's like this and he's like this and they're doing this. It's like, look, we all got to live our lives. And I'm sure gossip in high school is probably just as prevalent as it was when we were there.
Absolutely.
And probably
if
more.
Kids talk to each other, it is.
Right. But I mean, social media probably has made gossip 20 times worse. Because, you're talking about the banana girl. You know what would have happened if it happened a year ago?
It would have been on video.
Yeah. And it would have, and it would have been sent to every single person they could have, sent it to.
Well, then that would not have been gossip. That would have been the truth, because there's the fact of seeing the video.
There is, but I think that but you can gossip quickly, even though it's not true through social media. You make one post saying, maybe not naming the person, but saying, oh, I heard that this person did this at school today. And then it's so open-ended, right, that now everybody's texting each other, well, is it this person? Is it this person? And then then the gossip just blows up all over the place. And I think as an adult, that's a work problem. If you work in maybe a place where there's a lot of people, right. like a corporate environment in a huge office, that, it's telephone. Like you said, they may be telling a story of what happened. And by the time it gets to the last person, the poor girl was, tied upside down and, all kinds of crazy stuff. And what really happened is she slipped and fell at the pool. It's like, well, wait a second. Like, how did that happen? So I think it's just very easy now to, hear a story or have a thought about what you think happened. And then you're telling everyone your side of the story. And I think, you have to be very careful with that. I kind of got put in a place where I was writing like poetry and it was about someone, and someone came, she came back to me and was like, hey, you don't know the whole story. And I was like, you're right. And I was looking at it through my own lens. I wasn't quite gossiping, but I guess when they ended up reading this, then it came back on it. So I was kind of gossiping to myself, but I can see how quickly, you can turn something into a story that you really want to hear. And I think that's what gossip is. Over the years, I've taken quite a bit of
crap for gossip. Like, I remember my cousin came to me a few years ago and she's like, Teen, I really need to go out to dinner with you. And I'm like, okay, let's go. We went out to dinner. She starts crying and I'm like, what's wrong? What happened? And she told me that her grandmother, my aunt, is spreading a rumor that that I was a lesbian and I was leaving my ex because of that. And he was having some sort of twisted affair with another family member of mine, which I don't want to say because it was too brutal.
Even so,
I don't talk to the other person that they named as the one that he had gotten her pregnant. And that's why I was leaving him also. And my cousin was crying. She felt so bad for me because that's not the way my ex acted. That wasn't the way that I acted. And she wanted to protect me because she grew up in our house. She was always here. And I started laughing because I'd been through so much. And she goes, why aren't you mad? And I said, are you kidding? This is the first time I haven't been the worst one in the gossip. I've stepped up a little bit. I'm not, okay, I'm just a lesbian, but what they're saying about these two, that's way worse.
Yeah, you were just a secondary character.
Yeah, I was just kind of like, oh, okay. Makes sense why I would leave if I'm a lesbian and he's doing these things.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So, you're like, wait a second, that kind of makes sense.
Right. But or like, I remember when my mom was real sick, it was the year that, it was a year before she passed away. She was in the hospital and the lights were on, but nobody was home. She was so out of her mind. She was a mess. And so we were staying at the hospital with her, my dad and I. And I remember I never really called my former best friend for help for anything. It was, I just didn't do that. I don't call very many people when I need help. I suffer in silence, like you say, and I do what I got to do. And that's that. But this one time, because the doctor had come in and said, you need to get your mom's affairs in order. She's probably not going to make it out of this. I reached out and I called her and I said, hey, I need you. This is what's going on. And I can't keep my shit together. She said, okay, I'll be there in an hour. She texted me a little bit later And she tells me what a piece of shit I am and how dare I, put any of my mom's stuff out on blast and how could I be such a shitty person. And then she, unbeknownst to me, she went on Facebook and kind of, her and another friend of mine, which I don't know why I call them friends because they clearly weren't, had posted some really like the worst of the worst things that I've ever done, which weren't really that bad. Looking back, I'm like, shit, that's all I did. Why was I worried about it back then?
Right.
But they had taken all of my little secrets of growing up and telling my best friends and put them on Facebook. Now here I'm dealing with my mom's mortality at the moment. Mm-hmm. And my uncle and his stepdaughter saw what they put on and just went at him. Well, my family got on board, thankfully, because they'll go after me on their own, but they're not going to let anybody else. So right. It ended up they had to delete, like, I want to say it was something, and I could be wrong, like 80 something people off of their social media because they were my people. They were my people. And I didn't even get to see what all was said, but my uncle, who I'm very close to, he said it was really bad, teen, and you don't want to know what they put on. Just know that you don't need to be hurt like that ever, let alone right now. And we took care of it. They deleted it. They got it off of their social media, and they also got rid of all of us. So I remember feeling, though, like I'm one person that pretty much will tell anybody anything if they want to know. But I'm going to give them, like, I'll tell them why I did it. I'll tell them that I may not have been happy with myself. I'll even tell them that I was happy with myself. I'll own it. I'm not afraid to do that. But, but what they did was like underhanded, and it was gossip, and they should have kept their mouth shut. And it wasn't exactly the way that I represented myself to them. So it became a very nasty situation to the point where that was when I was like 40 years old. 39, 40 years old. And I, to this day, won't talk to them. I will never speak to them again. And I know people say never, but I'm on a good run. It's like 13 years, almost 14 years.
You're all right.
It's not going to happen.
No.
But I remember the feeling of being betrayed. Like, you can't tell anybody when you're suffering alone. You can't reach out and say anything. Like, I know secrets about you, and you'll never hear me repeat them. Like, and as a matter of fact, I encouraged you to be that person. I did. Right. And I don't understand why people would judge that. I figure, you know what? The more that we do that's not correct in other people's eyes is normally the best lesson we could get. Mm-hmm. And so gossiping, to me, like making somebody look bad for what reason, I don't know. It doesn't make you look good being a gossiper. It doesn't make you look good at all. As a matter of fact, it should turn on you, where you thought it made the other person look bad, but look at you, because you're a shady character that would be like that. I don't know. I was also in a situation where with my other friends that, I got in the middle of something that I shouldn't even have been in. And that was just for giving my opinion. She was asking me like, what do you think about this or what of that? And I said, whatever it was I said. Well, then when she got confronted, then she tried to back out of it, and she told her fiance stuff that I had supposedly said. And again, I don't remember things verbatim. I will tell you the truth as how I see it. And when it came back, he was like, you said this and you said that. And I was thinking to myself, no, I don't think I said it like that. But how do you say, I don't think I said it like that, if you don't know exactly what was said and you want to come back at somebody? So I find that for me, gossip doesn't work because I can't defend myself in it. I just have to let it go and move on. And I don't know. I'm at the point where I don't care. Say whatever you want to about me. Say whatever you want to about yourself. Say whatever the hell you want to, but don't put me in the middle of it. Back up your own actions and own your shit. Right. Just like I've always had to own my shit. And trust me, I've taken some serious drama over my life over stupid shit that I did. Mm-hmm. That's what growing up is. I don't think anybody's gone without that. But at the end of the day, I'll stand by what I do because I don't think I do things maliciously or to ruin people's reputations or their friendships. But if you want to call a spade, I'm right there. Let's do that. Well, let's talk this out, because I don't like to gossip. I'll say what happened right in front of your face. Just like I will tell you what I did right in front of anybody. I don't worry about who's listening anymore. I'm like, you want to know? Sorry, but this is who I am.
I mean, I totally agree with that. I sometimes I like to own things.
Oh, like, me too.
People will go, so I heard you said this. I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, not even and. Like, oh yes, I totally said that because that guy's a fucking asshole.
Yes.
And I have no problem with that. It's funny though how you live in a world of gossip. Obviously I was a wrestler for 20 years, and locker rooms are very, very gossipy because so many people in the same community will work different shows all over the place.
Okay.
And of course you'll always run into some of the boys or girls that right? Like you'll be around. Well, I always used to have girls walk me to the ring.
I remember.
And I generally, they were my friends, right?
Right.
And I got shit because they weren't in the business, like they weren't trained, because I always thought that girls who didn't know the business would listen. and people really didn't like when I said that shit either. They were like, oh, I was like, really? Because when I tell her what to fucking do, she's always there for me.
Exactly.
People who are in the business are always trying to get themselves over. So out of nowhere one time, someone's like, oh yeah, I heard you were like nailing all those girls that were walking you to the ring. And I was like, no. I said, they're all my friends. No. Yeah. They were either my friends or my ex-wife. So that she was the only one I slept with.
Right. No, I could attest to that because we used to talk about all of them.
And they were like literally friends of mine. And the reason I had so many is that it was so hard to get one girl to like always be able to work a show. So I was just like, hey, I need this one. I need her. And then blah, blah, blah.
But it just made you look cooler. It did.
But here's the thing. Like, yeah, I found out later, like I was known for that. They were like, oh yeah, like it was a big gossipy thing. Like, oh, I was, sleeping with all these girls. And the funny part is like, maybe in the beginning of my career, I was single, but like for 8 years of it, I was married. I literally went to a show, worked, got in my car with my ex-wife, my son, and my daughters and went home. So it was like, I actually giggled the first time. And then the second thing, I did photography and I shot lots of girls and lots of friends. Out of nowhere, someone posted on a Facebook page that I had assaulted somebody.
No.
Yeah. They were like, oh, you raped this girl. And the funny thing is how I kind of knew it was funny. They're like, you wanted sexual favors to take pictures. I was like, look, the funny thing is that it's humorous because I had girls always asking me if I would shoot them. The second part was they're like, hey, and I'll use his name because he's a fucking shitbag anyway. They're like, oh, and you protected your friend Jim and you knew he did this. And I remember posting back because I kept the post. I have a screenshot of it. And I remember going back, I go, well, your story ends there because if you knew me and how I felt about Jim, I had thoughts about putting a pillow over his head because he was my roommate. And like literally I wanted to murder him. It came down to with my ex roommate. I had told her either he fucking leaves or I do. And I stayed there for many more years after that. But I was like, sometimes the gossip that comes across is it's going to be there. And you just have to be able to either defend yourself or laugh it off because it's not real, or it's no different than someone, coming out and going, well, she's a whore. It's like,
oh, okay. I got that too, for sure.
I mean, and I see it still like to this day, or they're a narcissist. It's like, okay. Let's go down the line of why you think that. Like, I would love to get, because I heard my friend down the street goes, someone told me I was a narcissist. And for a second I went, I don't get it. Like, I guess maybe how my definition of narcissism is. I go, you're not really a narcissist. I mean, we all kind of are. Like, if you're not caring about yourself, that's a huge problem. Mm-hmm. And this person that got called a narcissist cares more about everyone else than she's ever cared about herself. And I found it kind of humorous, but people like to throw words when they're mad. And I think and labels, like, are you a doctor? Did you diagnose this person like that? Then shut the fuck up, because I'm so tired of everybody's a narcissist. Anybody that's ever hurt you is a narcissist. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Anybody that's ever not agreed with you is a narcissist. I'm so over that I guess I'm a narcissist too. Right. And I think, look, the clinical definition is a whole other thing. And we all have a little bit of narcissism. And look, I know guys
need it to live in this world.
Right. But I know guys who are like super narcissistic, like think they're God's gift to women. And I think that's when I think of a narcissist, I think of that person. It's always me. They're always looking in the mirror. It's about, the next conquer, whatever. And look, girls can be narcissistic. They can be the ones who I'm beautiful and everyone else isn't, blah, blah, blah. But this person in particular, I almost like fell out of my seat giggling. I was like, you're nowhere near that. And she does care more about people around her than herself. And there's a million stories I could tell you about that, but that's part of the problem. But we're all labeled. And look, I knew lots of girls who got labeled a whore, lots of them. And I was like, maybe you don't know them that well.
Right.
Because, and I knew these were people that were very close to me. And I was like, no. And they're like, yeah. And I go,
no.
She's dating one person. How is she a whore? Well, she used to do this, and this. Okay. Used to's are a whole other thing. We've all done shit in the past. Don't gossip about my past when it's the past.
And when does whore just become like, we're 52 years old now. Mm-hmm. You've been single for a lot of years. I was single. I didn't get married when I was really young. Like, we both had lives. We both did things. Like, when do you stop being labeled as such and just like, well, that's one of the people that, I love back when. Yeah. When does is it always going to be you're labeled a whore because you've slept with more than one person? Or how does that actually equate? That's what I want to know. Because when people say that about me, I'm like, I make jokes about it. When people go, "Oh, you whore," and I'm like, I'm not slutty. I'm popular. I don't deny it. I don't defend it. I just make another joke because I don't even know what constitute a whore anyway, to be honest with you. I mean, I'm not getting paid for sex. I don't have anybody, I don't have a line at the door for sex. I mean, sometimes I think that would be kind of fun. Does that, because I thought it, does that make me one? I don't know.
Would that be a mental whore?
Yeah, like what? Mental whore?
Yeah, you know what I mean? I gotta know.
Well, that was impressively cunty.
So, yeah, like, I don't know. I think there's a lot to be said about gossiping and rumors, or because they kind of walk hand in hand, right? Generally, gossiping is talking about something that you've heard and you don't even know is true.
Yes.
Or gossiping within the family is knowing something's true and going around the people to tell people outside of that circle.
Yes, like, my grandmother was good for that. She used to take me as a little kid around to like my cousin's house or my aunt's house or whomever, and they spilled the tea. Like, they talked about every freaking person in the family that they knew anything about, made it bigger than it needed to be. And then you were like, wow, they're really judging these people. And it wasn't really like that. But was it fun to sit and listen to?
Of course.
Absolutely. Yeah. Did I enjoy when I wasn't a part of that discussion? I did, because, like I said, when my aunt said that I was a lesbian and that I was leaving my ex because of what he was doing, I was like, damn, these people are heartless. But I did learn from that family is who you learn your lessons from. They're not who's going to treat you the best. That's never going to be the case. I mean, hopefully, if you're lucky, you have people in your family that got your back 100. And I do. I have some amazing people in my life. But just as amazing as I have people in my life that are part of my family, I have the other shitbags that want to talk and say stupid shit all the time. And I'm like, really? Yeah. You have nothing better to do than talk about me? Let me give you something to talk about, because I've got a lot. Where would you like to start on this? Because
exactly.
I'd like you to say something true, so at least I go down being the crazy bitch that I am, not the one that I kind of wish that I could be, or wish that I wish the stories were better, but sorry, this is what you get. You know?
It's when you hear something about you and then you want to step in and be like, hey, let me tell you the truth now. Let me give you a good one. Because it's nonsense.
It is.
And that's the problem.
Nonsense. It is.
And like I said, it's just for their gain. It's for people's gain.
I'm grateful, though, that I've always kind of been the black sheep, and I've always been talked about behind my back in my family. And so with that, I have a really thick skin now. And I'm like, really? You're going to talk about that? Let me give you something real to talk about. If you want to talk about me, this is the dumb shit I did today. You want to talk about that? Pick it apart. I'll own it because it's true. Mm-hmm. But this other stuff is really? You got nothing better to do with your time?
Right.
And as a friend doing that, I was like, you're never going to find a friend better than me, because your karma's fucked because of how you just treated me. And I always went out of my way to help you. And not wanting to be perfect. I never wanted to be perfect. I tried for everybody else. But if you want to know the truth, I still was Tina, and Tina is not perfect, nor does she want to be. Mm-hmm. I want to make mistakes because I want to learn while I'm here. And I want to have stories, and I want to be the one that says, yeah, that was a bad idea, but I did it. And it was a freaking amazing time,
Yeah, I think the problem with most gossiping is that it stretches the truth or it's an outright lie. Mm-hmm. And those are the bigger things. If you're telling the truth about me, like we said, we generally own it. And I have no problem. I've done some shitty things that I shouldn't have. I've done some good things that I probably shouldn't have. And I've probably heard about both of those. I can't believe you gave this person money. It's okay. Well, whatever. I did it because of this, because,
And it's none of your damn business. It's my money.
Yeah. And I think that's about everything. It's I was in a situationship with somebody, and people were questioning me on it. Why did you do that? It's
why not?
Yeah. Or because you fall for people, or you have feelings for people, and shit happens, and you find yourself in a predicament that a lot of people are going to gossip about, but I'll damn well own it. And I have no problem owning it in front of the people who are close to it. Mm-hmm. And they don't like that. People, when you start going, yep, did it. And, I'm not sorry. It happened.
Love doing that.
Yeah. But only because I think that it's the right thing to do. It's yeah, I know you don't like what I did, but that doesn't mean that my feelings are any less, or you have the right to say I'm a shitbag. It's it happened. And if you think I'm a shitbag, more power to you.
If you think I'm a shitbag, then get the fuck away from me.
Yeah.
Do that. Talk to me behind my back where I don't have to be nice to your face. That would be nice.
Mostly if they're family or so-called friends. But I just think anyone in general, it's look, I'll own it. I did it. Yeah, happened. This happened, that happened. And, we do our best not to get in deep with things of any nature. So, to really slam people for it. I mean, look, my mom and my aunts used to get together when we had barbecues, and they'd, sit at the kitchen table, talking shit about other people.
Everybody.
And it was gossipy, but I think it was more like my mom would lead with, oh, this girl at work. So it wasn't like my aunts knew her.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't something that was going to be detrimental to the family, because it wasn't like that. It was more like, I can't believe this girl at work, she was doing this. And I saw this guy at the supermarket, he was wearing this jacket. So it was like, was it gossiping? Yeah, but like nothing to the point where it would hurt anyone in the circle of the family or friends. It's when that happens, I think, that gossip is just the worst, because it's being used as a weapon. And when you use gossip as a weapon, it comes back at you.
Mm-hmm.
Or you end up hearing the real truth and you really never wanted to hear the real truth. And that's what I like to do. I like to throw the real truth and go, oh, okay, so this is what you thought I did. Let me tell you what really fucking happened. So, and go, I tell you what, you can ask this, and this person as well, because this is the truth. And I'll own that shit because I don't care.
I used to do that to my mom when my friends or supposed friends would say something to her. And I would just go, that's not what happened, but it gets better. Let me tell you what really did. And my mom would be like, I think I would rather know what the other person said. I'm like, then quit freaking talking to them so that you have to question me with anything. Like, doesn't it make sense to stay, if you don't want to know, don't listen to the bullshit that comes out of their mouths.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
How hard is that?
And it's not. And I think we all get put into that trap though, right?
Mm-hmm.
You hear something juicy and you're like, ooh. And look, we're all guilty. We're all guilty. And like I said,
depending on how you look at a situation, we are all guilty. Everybody's going to put it, you could put it in a way that'll make you guilty.
Yeah.
But if the people that are judging you, that are close to you, are doing that, like, are they really your people?
Right.
I don't think so.
I did my best in wrestling locker rooms when people started talking shit. I went to just tying my boots up.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to get involved in this shit because it's not going to be good for anyone involved, and then it just makes you look shitty. And my thing is, I just want to stay out of people's business. I have enough problems when I'm doing shit I'm not supposed to. So my own business fucks me up. Like, I don't need to know what, Billy did last week at a show. I don't need to know that. Mm-hmm. And they're very high schooly wrestling locker rooms, because you knew who had issues or were known for certain things. There was a guy who was, known for hitting on girls. Everyone knew it. And I had a girl work with me who was my boss's daughter. As soon as she got there, the first thing I did is I looked over and went, okay, see that guy right there? Don't talk to him. He's going to try to hit on you. And at one point, not that I left her alone, but I left her with some of the guys that I know were very protective, because I could tell them, hey, when I leave, keep an eye on her. But even when I came back, she was like, yeah, you were right. I was like, yeah, it is what it is. And that after that, there was way bigger issues later on in that guy's life. Like no serious allegations, like bad stuff, to the point where it's ruined his life. And he did come out and say that, like, he had a problem and he got therapy and found God. And I think, look, good for him. Everything else, no police things were involved, but
thank God.
But things did come out. But he was willing to take the people who accused him to court.
Wow.
So, look, he was willing to defend himself. So again, hearsay, neither here nor there, whether he did it or not. A lot of things come out, about people.
And it seems like nobody's really right and nobody's really wrong. There's like this huge gray area that seems like everybody falls into. And so it's like, why are we even judging anybody? Because nobody was right in the situation.
Right. Well, because you're usually judging on your feelings, right?
Right.
If you're mad at somebody because they hurt you, right, for whatever reason, you're always going to see them as the bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the way we work as people. And look, I've probably pointed some fingers at people that I was like, yep, the bad guy. But then you hear it from the own people's
the bad
mouths.
guy's point of view.
Well, no, or the person's point of view that sort of defends them. And then, you know, a little bit later, they're like, yeah, he's a piece of shit. Like, yeah, he was. And you knew it. And but other circumstances kept you in that relationship or kept you working for this promotion or kept, you know, there's always something. And that's why I do my best not to judge on people. It's like, look, we do things because we have to. But gossiping about that is not going to help the situation, mostly within family. Nothing helps that situation because someone's going to hear it that is neutral. And then when the person who's neutral hears it, then the words really start flying because they're going to shit on the person who said it. And the first thing they're going to do is call the other person and go, yep, you know, Billy Bob was talking shit about you at the bar yesterday down the street. And heaven forbid it's a small town. Then it's a whole other thing. Then you go to church on Sunday and everyone's like, and they're just, you know, and it blows itself out of proportion where, yeah, you know, everyone saw Billy down at the cornfield, you know, with this guy's daughter when, you know, he was really working and she was at church. It's like, how did that get there? And the telephone thing is absolutely horrible. And look, it's going to happen. And it's never going to stop. Gossiping is what it is. But I think we as people need to find a way to reel it in a tad, you know?
Yes, and absolutely. And not realize, be such jackasses with each other.
Yeah. And realize that it doesn't really help. It doesn't.
I agree with that.
It's just, it's a way of passing time.
And since when did we get on this, I don't know what you'd even call it, this parade of everybody has to be right? Like, people make mistakes every day and they're supposed to. We don't learn from doing things right. We learn from making mistakes. So why are we being judged so harshly that we're not even able to make a mistake or do something that you may not think is the best thing to do? Like, for instance, you know, I bought my trike and I've been on it, and man, I've been called a lot of things. That I am a lesbian now because I bought the trike, that I'm trying to show off because I'm trying to prove something, and just a lot of weird shit. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm not trying to prove anything. I bought it to make my life better. I bought it because I needed something to make me happy. I bought it because therapy's bullshit lately, and the people that I've tried to get help from were not people that were even equipped to deal with me. So I was like, well, instead of therapy, let's do something that makes you happy. Let's find another way for you to be happy. And if that's the wrong thing to be, then good. I'm glad I'm wrong. I'm cool with that. I own it. You know, I bought it. I own it. I'm going to write it. Does it change the person that I am? Say that I do decide to be a lesbian. Does that change who I really am? No, it just means you'll see me with women, not men. Like, what really is the problem with that? What's the problem with wanting to be happy? What's the problem with making a change or initiating growth or just tired of doing what everybody wants to dictate you should do? If that's an issue, then keep talking about me. I don't give a shit. But if you want to believe that, you're a dumbass too.
I think you said it best right there, though. The whole point is the people who are gossiping are the ones that don't want you to be happy. Generally, because the people who hear the story or aren't happy with the ending of the story, let's say, they're the ones that are going, I don't understand. It's like, I want to be happy. And being happy is hard as fuck enough.
Yeah.
Why do we need to have an excuse to be happy? if the people around you don't understand happiness or your happiness, then they just need to look from the sidelines and watch you ride by.
But it makes me wonder, do they know what happy is? Because they should be going for it too.
Yeah. Well, look, I think a lot of us don't know what happiness is.
I agree.
Or what.
Or they don't want to take the risk to be happy.
Well, that's the bigger thing.
Yeah. It's like, at least I own my bullshit. At least I'm
taking the risk.
Taking an opportunity to be different, to be happy, to do. I don't want to do mainstream bullshit anymore. I'm a hairdresser. I make everybody look the same. I put on makeup to make everybody happy. Like, I go through this. So for me, it's like, I want to get, just like my car, I want to get in my car and I want to go and I want to take a trip and I want to try new things and eat new foods and do new stuff. So I'm cool. It's okay to do that if I'm in my car, but it's not okay for me to do that if I'm on a Harley. Like, come on, you guys are dumb.
Uh-huh.
And lately, because I've been taking this sort of flack, I'm definitely owning it, which is actually pissing people off more. Because when they say, well, did you say that? I said, well, yeah, I kind of believe in that. And I'll tell you why. Now, what are you going to be mad at?
Right.
I am who I am. And I have a mouth and I'm going to use it. So are you ready for that?
Well, and I think that's with everybody. People they want to be able to gossip, talk shit, and then you sit in a corner and go, yeah, you're right. It's like, no, it's like, I'm doing what I'm doing because I want to. Mm-hmm. And if I change my mind again, it doesn't matter.
Okay. Because I'm allowed to.
You have to live with, look, if you're going to have friends and family, they have to live within your life as well. Mm-hmm. And you're not going to make everyone happy. Everyone's not going to be at the end of the day like, I'm so glad that he ended up with her. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, I hear that too. I'm like, well, I think that you deserve better, or I think you need this, or I think you need that. Well, let me tell you, I think you should quit worrying about what I'm doing. Let me make the mistakes I'm going to make. Do whatever it is I need to do to learn whatever lessons coming my way. And I'll take whatever the karma or whatever bitch slap or whatever happiness comes with it. Mm-hmm. And I'll be able to own that. But I won't own it if it's your idea and it's something that you think that I need. And it's something that you feel like, that's not why I do things. That's not why I do anything.
Yeah.
My dad said a long time ago, I quit trying to tell you what to do because you were on your own path. And you have owned it. So be on your own path. I'll just sit back and watch. And I do believe that. Sit back and watch, put your feet up, grab some popcorn. It's going to be a fun ride. Like, do that and quit worrying about me being perfect or special or important or right or any of those things, because I'm not.
Right. And everyone just needs to own their own shit. Mm-hmm. And be careful about gossiping and judging, because it generally comes back on you. Mm-hmm. And if you're the one pointing the finger saying, I can't believe they're like this, I guarantee you there's somebody right then talking about you going,
I can't believe they're like that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Happy. And again, finding your happiness is hard enough. Let's do our best not to push that narrative any worse. You know?
Do what you want to do, but don't judge everybody else. Just do and own your own shit.
Yep.
Just own it.
That's it.
No need to even care.
And
just own it.
The first person who goes, well, I don't doesn't matter.
It's not for you to understand.
You don't have to
live
understand
your own life.
Yeah. And I've learned that over the last couple of years that, look, you have to own your shit. Other people will. And at the end, it'll all work out. Mm-hmm. It just will. And the things that you don't think will, they generally do.
They do. It all boils over, and then it's over. You clean up the mess and you move on and do something else that's stupid. Or if you're me, you do. Because I got a lot of stupid shit that I want to do before I'm too old to do it. So, stay tuned if you want something to talk about. I got something right around the corner.
Right. All right. Well, we're going to knock it off at that. And, look, I think you've said it all. Gossip is what it is. It's gossip and nothing more. You have to live your own life.
Don't buy into it, though. Just don't buy into it.
And when the first person who says, I don't understand why you did this, it's not for them anyway.
Mm-hmm. I would much rather them say, I'm having a hard time understanding why you did that. Can you kind of tell me what your thought process was? I'll be like, yeah, I got you.
Right.
Let me tell you. Are you ready to hear it though? Because you may not like the answer.
Yeah. And I think that's the bigger one. Mm-hmm. People don't want to hear the answer because they've already have it in their head that their answer's right.
Absolutely.
And generally, it's not.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, this is an opinion show, so don't get it twisted. Keep coming back every Wednesday for our newest shows. Get our social media up on the Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And go check us out on all the podcasting formats: Apple, Spotify, Amazon, Google, and a plethora of others. And check in with us. Anything else there, Miss Tina?
No, have a good week, and we will. You'll hear from us again on Wednesday. Thank you for listening.
Wednesday. Talk to you later.